Hey guys, I'm a Challenger Riven main, and today I'm going to teach you guys on how to play Riven and everything that you need to know about this champion. We're going to be going over the runes, as well as build and skill order, and many other things like early game, mid-late game, tips, and even Riven settings, which all of you guys have been asking for, and of course combos as well. The best rune page right now is this rune page. This rune page works against any kind of matchup you're up against, as well as any kind of team comp. It's a very good scaling build, and it especially makes you strong in the mid-late game. Now you also have another rune page which you use specifically against enemy team comps that are full AP. This will grant you like a little shield which helps you survive some of their burst. You also have another rune page. You typically want to play with this rune page when you play with Ignite, because it allows you to gain an extra little bit of movement speed so you can play around your opponents a little bit more, being able to play a lot more aggressive when you use your Ignite and Flash. Now lastly, we also have another rune page which is very useful against matchups which poke you a lot. It will help you survive. Although I don't really use it that much myself, it will help you survive matchups which are difficult. As for the Riven items, you want to take a Doran's Shield if you are in a matchup which pokes you out a lot. Take a Doran's Blade if you are facing a bruiser or tanky matchup. And lastly, Longsword is something that I only build if I play in a very easy matchup. For boots, I typically go with Lucidity boots, and if they are full AD, you want to get Steel Caps. Now lastly, if they are full AP or have a lot of CC, you want to get Mercs. Most of my full builds are always being played with Gorge Anchor, because Gorge Anchor is currently the best mythic item for Riven right now. A typical snowball build of mine looks like this. Now if I play against a full AD team comps, I much rather replace the Lucidity boots with Steel Caps instead, and always buy the Death Stand with Guardian's Angel into this build as well, because that would give you a ton of armor in order to survive. Against full AP team comps, Mercs will do the job for you, as well as Maul after you get the Black Lever. This build is extremely OP against full AP team comps. Lastly, we have one more snowballing build. So this build is the Essence Reaver Edge of the Night build. All of these items are very cheap to buy, and they provide a ton of damage. So if you're looking to snowball, you should probably consider checking out this build as well. The skill order comes down to personal preference. If you are maxing Q, W into E, which I do the most, this will grant you more CC, more damage, more burst, and more wave clear. However, if you're going for Q, E into W, this will allow you to dash a lot more freely around specific matchups, for example a Tryndamere, where running and chasing is very important. The early game, I always look at what I am facing. Am I against a tank, against bruiser, or against a ranged champion? Now this really matters, because this is going to change your playstyle quite a bit. When you play against tanks in the game, you can try to beat them in the pre-6, or you can try to kill them as quickly as you can before they scale up towards their first item. But generally what you want to keep in mind when you play against tanks is that you push lane and you roam. You do that on repeat until you win the game. Against ranged champions, there's actually a couple things that you can do to counter it at level 1. So this is like an older clip of mine, very old video, but it basically does the job. So the idea is to sit inside the bush, waiting for your opponent to walk up. And as soon as he tries to go for a CS, you want to walk in and pull your entire fast Q combo onto your opponent. They are very likely to walk either into the river, or walk past the lane, or even walk back to the turret, but either way you can pull an entire combo and possibly even get the kill, or at least get the flash. This works in 99% of all of your games. It even works in Challenger Elo as well. I've performed it so many times and people generally just don't expect it at all. If that doesn't work out, then the option you have is to play safe until you reach level 6, get your damage, and then go for the all-in. Most ranged champions are very weak to all-in, so take advantage of this. The bruiser matchups are always very interesting to talk about since it heavily comes down to what kind of matchup it is. And in the future, I will be talking a lot on each matchup on how to actually beat them. So we'll get back to that later. In the mid-late game, you mainly want to focus around split pushing as much as you can, forcing your opponent to stay in the lane, and then using your TP to roam across the map. This is probably the most effective way to win games easily with Riven. If TP is not an option at the time, you can also try to flank enemies from behind, use all of your damage, and instantly kill them when they don't expect it. This is such an effective way to win games fast because this will get you the catches, which allows you to get more farm in the jungle and create a massive lead very fast. What you can also do as another option is to force a team fight by yourself by flashing directly into the enemy team, hitting multiple opponents at once and completely deleting everybody. The best tip that I can give to you guys, this is specifically for the way how Riven is being played. You can actually control Riven's Q in so many ways. Let me just show you what I mean. So for instance, we're going to spawn a dummy right here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to be auto-attacking him. And then look at the difference. When I hold this mouse onto the target, it will Q onto the target. If I leave the target, it will Q directly through the target. And what this does, you can actually like dodge people that are abilities with this. But there's a lot more to this. Now, what I want to show, we're going to be teleporting to this wall as an example. We're actually going to be teleporting to this wall. And we're going to be placing down a ward right here. So what most people do when they try to chase down people, they're trying to like wall jump over the walls to get their kill or to chase them down. Let's say that this is the enemy opponent trying to walk away from you. So instead of just trying to directly line up yourself to go over the wall like this, you can actually make it a lot more efficient by queuing and using a target to jump over the wall. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a champion. It can be any kind of target. So for instance, we have the, let me just show you. We have the target right here. Oh wait, I just messed it up. We have the target right here. And then we can jump over the wall again, but this time using the blue buff. And even when you're on the complete opposite side, you can still jump over it without having to line up for this. And this can be extremely OP. For instance, when I place down a ward right here, you're getting chased down by somebody. Instead of just having to line up, you could just directly use the camp right here. Or there's so many ways around this. It definitely makes wall jumping and chasing people a lot easier this way. Now, as for the Riven settings, the best settings for Riven, the settings that I've been playing with for over 6 years right now, for the hotkeys, I have set everything to quick cast, except for my trinkets. That's an exception, which I'll explain. The main reason why I don't have my ward to be a quick cast is because by having it on normal cast, I can decide whether or not it gets into the bush or not. Because as soon as the cursor goes into green, that means that the ward is now inside the bush. However, if it's not green, then it means it's outside of the bush and won't give you the vision, which is very important. I had this happen a lot where I accidentally placed it down and it just didn't get into the bush. So that's why I'm using it like this right now. As for the quick cast, both of these are being turned off. Now, going all the way down, this is the most important settings for Riven. You have to get this enabled. It's going to make controlling your champion a lot easier. So basically what this does, bind auto attack move to left click, basically what that does, it changes the left mouse button to attack with click. And this is very useful because just take a look at what happens if I get close to a target. It will automatically hit the target. Now, what this does, it allows me to use my right mouse button to move around in the game, and it uses my left mouse button in order to attack my opponents. So, that's my kind of setup. It allows to use the fast Q a lot easier like this, since you can now use 2 buttons and you will never have to worry about missing your attack move or missing your attack command again. Now, along with this, I'm using my scroll wheel to interact with the map. As you can see on the bottom left of my mouse, the scroll wheel is now being pressed in. This is the way how I move around. It's also the way how I click on everything, like the shop, for instance. And even with interacting with the shop, I can still use my left mouse button and I can buy things with my right mouse button. So that's kind of like the way how I got my setup. Now for the video settings, let me just go to the top right here. I got the resolution highest, of course. I got windowed mode, borderless, because I have 3 monitors. I've also got my whole game on very high. Like, this just depends on your PC. I've also got my FPS being capped at 144 because I have a 144 hertz monitor, and if I go more FPS than this, then my game will bug out. This is being turned off. I never ever recommend anybody to use vertical sync, because this is going to ruin your gameplay very hard. I've once made a video about this in the past and it's actually ruining it. Now for the sound, it's pretty basic. It's just the same like everybody. For the interface, I have the setup like this. And this is all the basic stuff. I don't really use the legacy cursor anymore. I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference anyways, but this is the main setup that I have for the interface. And then lastly, for the game, I've got my mouse speed very low. I like to have my mouse on a very low speed. Also, my camera and other stuff is like this. And I like to have the camera lock mode on fixed offset. It just feels a lot better. It's what I grew up with when playing League and all the way back in like season 1. And yeah, that's pretty much the settings. Let's move over to the combos right now. This is going to be a full entire clip of the best Riven combos out there right now. And after this clip, there is going to be another clip with the wall jumps as well. So good luck learning. And if there's anything, let me know in the comments.